What is going on, fantasy people? It is your boy John with the catch here to bring you another mock draft. Let's go, baby. This one requested by Gary the Berry 7. Asked for a PPR 10 team league with the first overall selection. So that's what we're running for you guys today. Please let me know in the comments down below, like our guy Gary the Berry 7 did, what type of mock drafts are going to be the most useful for you and your personal fantasy football leagues for this upcoming year. Remember, we are here to help you guys to the best of our ability, and we are so very happy to do so. So very pumped to see some love and support down in the comments below. Go ahead and smash that like button if you do find this video helpful and or entertaining in any way, and please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as it really does help the channel out as well. Super stoked to hop right into this one. So obviously, if you have the first selection in any league, whether it be standard, half PPR, full PPR, whatever it may be, your number one pick has to be CMC, right? Maybe you could argue maybe for like a Dalvin Cook or a Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, but we all know what time it is, baby. It's run CMC time. That is your first overall selection, regardless of scoring format, regardless of 8, 10, 12, 14, 200-man leagues. It does not matter. Christian McCaffrey is the best number one overall selection. So we will go ahead and I'm having some hard times scrolling here. So we will have the 20th overall selection as well as the 21st overall selection. So we're going to kind of wait and see how at least this first round and most of the second round plays out, as we are going to see a large run on running backs in the first round, with maybe a little touch of receiver there in the first round, right? And in that second round, we're going to see a large run on receivers with maybe a tight end or a quarterback sprinkled in, possibly. And same with your first round. You might see Travis Kelce be going, even in 10-man leagues. There are people out there targeting who want him as their number one overall selection. So we will go ahead and see. There's a couple strategies we could roll with here. And we will just see how this plays out, knowing that we do have the best and most valuable running back in the league, as we now see Dalvin Cook second on the board, Derrick Henry third off the board, Zeke is fourth, and Alvin Kamara fifth. Really your standard top five picks, right? On a consistent basis, and about 90%, 95% of mock drafts, these are the first five guys off the board. I've seen Travis Kelce go in the top five. I think I've seen Patrick Mahomes go in the top five, but very few and far between. You might see a Devontae Adams or a Tyreek Hill in the top five. But like I said, 95% of the time, these are your top five guys, usually followed by a Nick Chubb and or Aaron Jones as kind of your top seven running backs, right? We've seen Saquon Barkley kind of fall out of that mix, closer to picks 8 through 12. We've seen Jonathan Taylor fall significantly now on Yahoo, ranked at 13th overall, and I do believe we saw Zeke now ranked third overall on Yahoo, in front of Derrick Henry. So, it's about that time of year where projections as well as rankings are going to be changing quite a bit, as we see the first receiver off the board, and that of Tyreek Hill. So there are a couple of strategies we could run here. I do still want to target a running back with this 20th overall pick, and probably a receiver, but you could certainly go tight end QB here, knowing that we do have the best overall running back in the league. But I would like to give Christian McCaffrey some support from the running back position. I did do a mock draft recently where I did pick with the number one overall pick, and kind of went weak RB, so to speak. So a 12-man league, I do believe, was how I conducted that. I did pick CMC first overall, and then after that, I went receiver, QB, tight end heavy, and waited quite some time to draft an RB. So go ahead and check out that mock draft. Should be posted by the time that I have this current video posted. But keep in mind that even when you do have a running back as valuable as one of those top 5, top 6 guys, it is still a priority to go out and get another stud running back because the position is thin as anything, man. So we now see our first tight end off the board here in the second round. Before that, we had Najee Harris as well as Jonathan Taylor. And then to end the first round, we had Devontae Adams off the board. And the top of the second round, we had Stephon Diggs. So expect to see a couple more receivers now that that prime tight end, Travis Kelce, is off the board. We are also in a prime position to draft a Patrick Mahomes. If we did feel like we wanted to go out and solidify the QB position, but I'm feeling the RB strategy, RB heavy, kind of my tried and true, especially with us knowing that we have absolute firepower already. But knowing that, I do think while I'd like to get 2 running backs early on, I do think going out and getting a stud receiver here is going to help solidify this PPR scoring format, and we should be able to draft a couple more running backs down the road as well. As we see Calvin Ridley now off the board, someone who is looking, at times I have seen Calvin Ridley be drafted before that of Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, as well as Stephon Diggs. I've seen him drafted in this same tier immediately after those 3 guys go. So Calvin Ridley is someone who is gaining, has gained a lot of traction in the last year, certainly had a very productive last year. And as we see the departure of Julio Jones from that offense, many expect these numbers to only improve as we now see DeAndre Hopkins selected, Antonio Gibson, someone I would have loved to pair with Christian McCaffrey. And now that my turn is coming up quickly, we do know that we have 2 picks in a row here, but it is time to start kind of monitoring these guys. So I want to know what you guys think about DK Metcalf, right? Over 1,300 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns last year. Those are very similar numbers to a Calvin Ridley, right? So as we see Justin Jefferson off the board, right at 1,400 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns last year, many are taking A.J. Brown in front of a DK Metcalf. And if you guys have been keeping up with these mock drafts, you guys know that I am taking DK Metcalf left and right, and I don't mean to bore you guys with that selection, but I am a huge fan of DK Metcalf. I did get a comment in the past week kind of speculating that the Seahawks will want to be very run heavy, and I don't think that is necessarily wrong, but I just think that DK Metcalf is going to have a frickin-tastic year. He is a guy I want on my roster, and we're going to go out and we're going to actually reach for a guy, and David Montgomery here, who I really like, and as much as I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I just think that David Montgomery is a little bit more proven. Now, we are expecting to see a much better sophomore campaign out of that of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think he would have been certainly okay to take with that selection, and I think that Joe Mixon would have certainly been okay to take with that selection as well. But once again, very similar to the selection of DK Metcalf here, David Montgomery is just someone that I have a good gut feeling on. Looking at his performance last year, someone who I think is going to have a better year now being the main focal point of that offense. Although, last year Tariq Cohen dealt with some injuries, and Tariq Cohen is potentially coming back fully healthy. We have heard, some whispers of Tariq Cohen not being fully healthy just yet. But nonetheless, David Montgomery is one of the guys I want on my roster, and it is certainly okay to quote unquote reach for a guy that you are fully confident in and someone that you want on your roster that you do not want to see on an opponent's team. So if that guy is DK Metcalf for you, or if that guy is AJ Brown for you, if that guy is David Montgomery for you, or it's Joe Mixon for you, whatever it may be, go out and get your guy. You are going to feel much more confident than if you purely look at the best ranked player and take them based off rank, right? these ranks are pretty accurate overall and a very good depiction overall of how we should rate these players, but it is still up to you to utilize your tools and your resources in order to make the best selections overall. With that being said, hopefully this channel has become a great tool and resource for you. And if it has not yet done so, please let me know in the comments down below how we can continue to grow and thrive into a better fantasy football tool for you guys. We are certainly here to do whatever we can to help you win your respective fantasy football championship in this very exciting 2021 upcoming year. Today, as I'm recording this, it is August the 10th, and I am so freaking excited. Football is less than 5 weeks away. Let's get going, baby. Almost time for the regular season, as we now see a bit of a run on receivers, as Darren Waller was taken with the 27th overall selection, and in the top of the 4th round, we have now seen Chris Carson of the Seattle Seahawks, team that I'm hoping is not too run heavy this year, with my selection of DK Metcalf off the board. And now Josh Jacobs is off the board with the 32nd overall pick. I think that's a great value. You guys know that I have been very high on Josh Jacobs throughout all of these mock drafts, as we now see Patrick Mahomes taken 33rd overall off the board, followed by Chris Godwin. I think Patty Mahomes at pick 33 is a great value. I've seen him going a lot closer to 25 overall. So with these next two selections, I am going to go ahead and shore up the quarterback position. Hopefully get one of the top elite players, a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, as we've also seen on Yahoo's rankings. Dak Prescott scooting up above Kyler Murray. Let me know in the comments down below, who are you more likely to draft, Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray, for this coming 2021 fantasy football season? As we've now seen Mike Evans followed by the selection of Chris Godwin, and then George Kittle, Darrell Henderson, and Robert Woods off the board. So my turn is coming up. I am going to potentially target another running back here. Let's go ahead and pull up who is available, as we're already loving this duo of Run CMC and David Montgomery. I do think that Miles Sanders is the best running back available. He is not someone that I am too personally high on overall, but I think if the price is right, he is certainly worth the selection, and I'm going to go ahead and get a third running back in that of Miles Sanders, and I'm going to go ahead and take who I think will be the most pass-heavy quarterback on the board, and that of Josh Allen. But I love the selection of Lamar Jackson, essentially another RB1 slash QB1 for your fantasy roster. I do like the selection very much so of Dak Prescott, as we do expect him to have a lights out year, returning from injury. I think he is going to perform very well, and he is going to be throwing the football a whole lot, as we now see Kyler Murray off the board, and we still have Russell Wilson floating around. Russell Wilson, someone he threw for over 4,200 yards last year, as well as 40 interception, was the top quarterback for most of the beginning of fantasy football last year, and then second half of the season we saw a bit of a fall off. So I still like Russell Wilson, and where you can, potentially draft him. Let me know. I'm starting to kind of think about this Seattle Seahawks team as a whole, and I do believe they're being relatively slept on in terms of fantasy football. So let me know in the comments down below what you were thinking about the Seattle Seahawks moving into this football year, as we now see a little bit of a run on receivers as well as a run on quarterbacks here. So after my selection of Miles Sanders and Josh Allen, we've seen DeAndre Swift off the board, as well as Kyler Murray, Amari Cooper, Lamar Jackson, DJ Moore, and Tyler Lockett. So 12 more selections until we pick. So we do know that we need to go ahead and shore up the receiver position. It would be nice to get a tight end that we firmly believe in here as well, but we will continue to monitor the running back situation and see if there is anyone that we're, really high on that we want to take with the 60th and 61st overall selection. So we will sit back and kind of monitor things as Julio Jones and Myles Gaskin have been taken off the board. And now big TJ Hawkinson out of Detroit is off the board as well. And in the top of the sixth round, we now have Travis Etienne off the board. And I can tell you, I would love to see an Adam Thielen slip out to us, which probably will not happen. I do like the selection of Damian Harris coming up, knowing that he will be the RB1 in that New England Patriots offense, as we now see Russell Wilson taken with the 52nd overall selection, followed by that of Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. So I would love to pick up a Mark Andrews here. I don't think he's going to fall to us as we see Kareem Hunt off the board, someone else who I would have loved to add to this roster. But I think there are a lot of good receivers left. I would like to get like an Adam Thielen here. I think, with what we know he can do in the red zone, he's definitely very valuable at this point in the draft. But yeah, I just don't think he's going to slide to us. Would have loved to see a Mike Davis on this roster, but I'm not sure if he's going to slide as well. And like I said, Mark Andrews. So really, well, now Mark Andrews is off the board, so we will not be selecting him. As I would like to go ahead and solidify the tight end position. One thing you got to think about if you do pick first overall, you do have the advantage of these back-to-back selections, but that also means that you have to wait about 20 rounds, between each selection. So while there are plenty of tight ends on the board right now, by the time we go to select, more than likely Robert Tonyan will not be available. So Mike Davis is still sitting here, but I'm feeling pretty confident at the running back position. So we are just going to go ahead and check the receiver position. And there's really not anyone who stands out to me greatly. So we will go ahead. We will draft Mike Davis and add that bench player to this running back heavy roster, and we will go out and shore up the tight end position and that of Robert Tonyan, someone who I am huge on this year with those 11 touchdowns we saw last year. Looking to have another very, very good year with that of Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football in that last dance scenario in Green Bay. So now I can tell you that we do want to make sure we are going out and getting a receiver with this next selection. Let me know if you guys think I went a little too light at receiver here, especially knowing that we have essentially the best running back in fantasy football this year. So I am going to be targeting Jerry Jeudy here, but I think Chase Claypool would be another great value to hopefully slide to us. And the good news too is at the receiver position we are very, very deep. There is lots and lots of depth here. So a little drama with Michael Thomas this past week, publicly unhappy with the New Orleans Saints. Some tweets coming out. Sean Payton didn't want to talk about it. Could we see a Michael Thomas trade, knowing that he is going to miss the beginning of the season? It is certainly possible, but definitely all speculative at this point in time, as we see an interesting seventh round after my selection of Robert Tonyan. We've got Justin Herbert off the clock, Deontay Johnson, Tom Brady, Damian Harris, Logan Thomas, Jalen Hurts, as well as Chase Edmonds. So we are seeing a little bit of a run on tight ends and quarterbacks, which is going to help us as we are hunting for some skill position players and hoping that my guy Chase Claypool slides to us in the coming rounds. But there are some other names that I really like here. I really like Jerry Jeudy. I really like Ronald Jones the second still floating around, someone who definitely has the potential to be that RB1 in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. That is definitely going to be very explosive this coming year. So one thing I want to mention, please let me know in the comments down below. I typically, for the most part, target a lot of the same people because they just happen to be part of my overall strategy moving into this year. There are certain names, certain players that I'm very high on, but I certainly think, for example, with the selection of Chase Claypool, or theoretic selection of Chase Claypool. There are other players that I would still put in similar value. Like a Kenny Galladay, as long as he can come in healthy. Like a Jamar Chase, even his teammate Juju Smith-Schuster, I still think is very, very valuable. So as well as DJ Chark is someone who I think has essentially the same fantasy value, but I just personally think that Chase Claypool is my guy to target. So let me know. My question is in the comments down below. If you guys would like to see more comparison of, oh, I pick Chase Claypool on a regular basis, I pick a Robert Tonyan on a regular basis, a DK Metcalf, David Montgomery on a regular basis. Who are some guys, within that tier that I, consider to have equal value as we see Ronald Jones II off the clock? But yeah, let me know, or excuse me, off the board. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys think I'm picking the same players too much, if you want to see some diversification within the players that I'm drafting. And while you're down there, hit that like button and subscribe for more future content like this. So we're going to roll, since Ronald Jones, the second, got picked here, we're going to roll with Chase Claypool as well as Jerry Jeudy. We're going to shore up the receiver position as we start to fill out some depth between those two players. And now we have 1, 2, and 3 receivers we're very confident in, and we have 1, 2, 3 running backs that we're very confident in, as well as Mike Davis, who is presumed to be the #1 running back all year long in that Atlanta Falcons offense. And I think, these rushing yard projections are a little slighted. I see him. He didn't play all of last year. He filled in for Christian McCaffrey, and he played very well. And we saw also what he could do in the receiving game. I think, the receiving yard projections and about 1 touchdown is relatively fair, but I do think he'll have a better rushing output than 757 rushing yards, as well as just 5 touchdowns. I think he's going to perform a little bit better than that. So at that point in time, we did look at the receiver position. There were some good receivers on the board as well, but just that value of potentially getting another #1 running back overall presented far more value to this roster as we still went out and we got that of a Chase Claypool as well as a Jerry Jeudy, someone who you guys know I'm very, very high on, someone who we are starting to see move up and up on others' draft board. So at this point in time, I do like the value of Jamar Chase, of a James Robinson, as we just saw Jamar Chase taken off the board, of a Melvin Gordon. I would consider taking a chance on Leonard Fournette. You guys know that I'm a little bit higher on Ronald Jones, the second overall, but Leonard Fournette is as good of a gamble, right? He could potentially be the #1 back all year regular season, in terms of Tampa Bay's regular season running back. So your guess is as good as mine. I really like the value of Michael Carter here. I do like the value of James Conner, DJ Chark as well. I think there's a lot of good receivers that we could still add to this team on top of those top 4 running backs. And we do know that no matter what, we have the sure firepower of Christian McCaffrey all year long, excuse me, all year long, barring any injuries. So we know that he's going to lead our running back position, but I am very certain, in my humble opinion, that David Montgomery is going to have a very good year, and we just kind of hope that either Miles Sanders or Mike Davis can fill that in, because the running backs are going to be what makes up the bulk of this team, as we are led by DK Metcalf, Chase Claypool, and Jerry Jeudy at the receiver position. As we now will go ahead and scoot my face down, and we will see who's available here. We want to go ahead and check. I'm going to go ahead and pick an upside play here, and that of Michael Carter, someone who could potentially be the #1 running back for that Jets team. And then I really like DJ Chark here, and I really like AB as well. But just knowing for sure that overall the Tampa Bay offense is going to perform at a high level, and we don't exactly know how the Jacksonville Jaguars team is going to come out and play, I'm going to pick AB as only if this is a PPR format, right? And theoretically this is. I don't necessarily like AB as much in a standard scoring league, but I am very high on him in terms of PPR value. I think he's going to have a fantastic year and a very good value here at the top of the 11th round for our selection. So I'm going to scoot my face up here, and then we're going to continue to monitor at this point really any skill position players that present any upside is what we want. So we're going to just evaluate who's getting selected as we see Cortland Sutton, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyler Boyd, AJ Dillon, and Gus Edwards off of the board. Our main guys are these guys that we already have highlighted: James Conner, DJ Chark, Will Fuller, Mike Williams. There we go. We're really just picking anyone with upside. I like the Naheem Hines sneaky value in PPR leagues. I'm telling you, I think my co-host Steven wants to hop into that topic a little bit more at some point. I think Naheem Hines really is going to benefit from those recent injuries we've seen in Indianapolis. So I am going to go out and check the tight end position. We see that Mike Gesicki is still available, someone who I think is probably the only tight end here who presents really any elite value. I was really liking Hunter Henry, and I have selected him in several mock drafts. I still think he's of good value, but he is going to be missing a couple of weeks, we have found out, with a shoulder injury. So someone that I'm kind of hesitant on now, and I think that kind of escalates Johnny Smith's overall value as far as the tight end position goes. So keep an eye on that tight end room in New England and kind of monitor those situations, because they are going to be something we're going to be needing to take a look at, which is what we will do here for you guys and let you guys know. But just make sure if those are two guys are targeting moving closer to week one, that it is definitely something to monitor. So here in the 12th round, we have seen Brandon Cooks, Chenault Jr. off the board, as well as quarterback Ryan Tannehill and running back Kenyon Drake, as well as DJ Chark. So actually, I think here in the 12th round, these are all very good selections, all very good value, right? Brandon Cooks will be the number one receiver in that Houston offense. Chenault Jr. is going to play a heavy role in what Jacksonville does offensively. Ryan Tannehill, a great value at quarterback here in the 12th round, followed by Kenyon Drake, someone who has the opportunity to be number one running back, if not a heavy utilized running back for the for the LA Raiders, followed by DJ Chark and Will Fuller. You guys have heard me talked about. Matt Stafford, I think, is a great value, as our guy Mike Gesicki did get selected with the 118th overall pick, as we now see Jamal Williams selected. And I will go ahead and I will go out and get my guy Mike Williams, who a lot of you know that I am very big on for the coming year. And we will go ahead and check. Really no quarterbacks that present a huge value. Really no running backs other than Naheem Hines who present any value. So I will go out and I might be selecting one of those tight ends. But let's just go. Let's check the receiver position. And I like Michael Gallup a lot here. But I'm going to go ahead and pick up Michael Thomas. We do know what he can do at the receiver position, and we do know that he has potential to be a number one receiver overall. So let's go ahead and let's check this. And let's scoot my face down. Put my cue up. All right, so we have fully drafted other than the kicker and defense for this draft. So I am going to go ahead and go over this team, because as I look over to the left, it looks like everyone essentially has left this mock draft, but we got a very good overall feeling for the beginning of this mock draft of how these first 10 to 12 rounds should go. And then it does look like most people went ahead and left the building. But let's break this team down, as we know that we will end up with some sort of kicker and defense of value. So at the quarterback position, we did go ahead and shore up pretty early that of Josh Allen. So I'm very happy we went out and we got an elite quarterback. At the running back position, we did have the first overall selection, and that of, excuse me, I'm kind of clicking around here, of Christian McCaffrey. So really nothing else to do with the number one overall pick, regardless of scoring format. If you're playing in a one-man league or a 1,000-man league, this is your guy, right? We followed that up by a little bit of a reach, some would argue, for David Montgomery. Do note that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was available, Joe Mixon was available. There were some other names, and like I said, I don't necessarily dislike those other names, but this is the guy I want on my roster, so I went out and got him, similar to our wide receiver one and that of DK Metcalf. Definitely other receivers available there, like a AJ Brown, that others would be higher on, and that is okay. If you like those receivers more, go ahead and pick them, but this is my guy, and I'm rolling with him, right? So to finish out the running back position, we did go and get who should be the Eagles' #1 running back all year, as well as who should be the Atlanta Falcons running back all year. So we have pretty much solidified the running back position with those 4 guys. But in the later round, we went out and got that of Michael Carter, who should be the #1 running back for the New York Jets. So we feel very good with 5 possible #1 running backs on this roster, including Christian McCaffrey to lead our running back position. Other than DK Metcalf at the receiver position, we do have Chase Claypool, as well as someone who I'm personally very high on, and that of Jerry Jeudy, someone who I think will perform as a #1 receiver in that Denver Broncos offense. And even if he does not, he will surely be a firepower #2 receiver, whether Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock is throwing him the football this coming football season. In regards to this PPR scoring format, we went and got AB. I like where they have him projected on Yahoo, right over 1,000 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. I think that's pretty accurate, and I think that is certainly something he's capable of doing within that offense this year. Then we went out and got someone I've been high on, mock draft after mock draft. You hear me talking about Mike Williams. He is someone who I think is going to have a very, very good year with Justin Herbert's second year in that offense. You guys have heard me say it quite a few times by now, but I'm still standing by it. I think he's going to have a fantastic year, as well as Michael Thomas. There were a couple of names where you saw me kind of floating around in different positions, and I just think for the back half of the season, moving closer to fantasy football playoffs as well as championships, he does present the value to be a #1 receiver, regardless of if he is on the New Orleans Saints or not by that time. And don't forget the good old tight end, Robert Tonyan. We did target Mike Gesicki as a tight end 2 on this team, considering that we could have, potentially, by the way, this roster set up flex a tight end. And I know a lot of leagues out there more and more are starting to add a flex tight end position, which is something I'm a big fan of, at least a wide receiver, running back, tight end flex position. So we did not get Mike Gesicki, but we are still very happy with Robert Tonyan on this squad as our tight end 1, tied Travis Kelce for the most touchdowns by a tight end last year. So certainly nothing to sneeze at within my guy Robert Tonyan, and we will actually sit back and see what kickers and defense fall to us, because why not? So we will go ahead and we will shore up the Miami Dolphins defense, and then we will find the highest scoring kicker from last year. Well, the second highest. We're going to take our guy Rodrigo Blankenship over that of Daniel Carlson to finish out this squad overall. So please let me know in the comments down below if this was helpful, how I could be more helpful to you and your personal fantasy football league for this coming year. Like I said, this mock draft was requested by Gary the Berry 7. Gary the Berry 7, thank you for letting us know how we could be more helpful to you and what type of mock draft you wanted to see for your personal fantasy football season. We thank you very much for the love and support, and we thank all of you very much for watching and or listening, and any love or support you do wish to show while you're listening and or watching. Please go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe for more future content like this, as it really, really does help out the channel overall. And don't forget to tune in for our annual The Catch podcast. Thank you all very much for watching, and remember, you saw it here on The Catch.